Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Big Apple Hockey, a special Friday afternoon episode, because after all, we did not get to do a post-game show for game one, but we've got a lot that we're going to be talking about, because one reason why we're late today, guys, there is so much breaking news today, and there just keeps on being more breaking news every single minute, it feels like, Anthony. So I am your host, Marc Williams, who is still got the beard right now and looking for his own nameplate, because I like this one better. It looks, well, also because I put in the time to make it. And of course, joined by the fourth period, Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
So, a lot of Islander fans have always said that Lou Lamoriello isn't active enough for them in the off season. It's not even June yet, and last week he signs the top KHL free agent Maxim Siplikov, and now today he makes a trade in which he gets back 2 second-round picks from the Blackhawks. So Islanders definitely loading up on draft capital, whether it did be shed a contract like Lee or Pajot or to use to acquire a player. That remains to be seen, but Lou Lamoriello isn't wasting any time this offseason with making transactions. So if you're an Islander fan, that's certainly a good sign.
Which, by the way, Anthony, that's actually where we're going to be starting a little bit more of an in-depth breakdown of this, because from the outside view, from my point of view, the New York Islanders, they moved back 2 picks and acquire an additional second-round pick. My first thought is kind of la-di-da by that, because they moved down 4 spots, but they get an extra second-round pick. However, as you just mentioned, Lou can use that now to move an undesirable contract like a Pajot. I'm not sure if he's going to need a second-round pick for that. But more importantly, as you're saying, he can spin that pick and get something more valuable coming back. And we've seen Lou have a propensity to just discard his first-round draft picks as the New York Islanders GM.
Mm-hmm. And the interesting part about this trade, Mark, is usually trades that involve just draft pick shuffling with no players involved. Usually that's a trade that happens like on the draft floor, the day of the draft. The fact that this happened, more than a month out from the draft is a little peculiar to me. Why it happened right now. So, not to kind of read the tea leaves here or speculate too much, but a reason for that could be is maybe Lou is looking to like I said, move a player, and he needed that additional pick to make such transaction. I don't know, but I just think it is odd that this move happened a month out before the draft.
Well, I think you get the opportunity, you strike while the iron's hot. Getting Chicago's picks, and oh, by the way, you get Anthony looking good in the sun. As I said on Wednesday night, the sun always shines on Anthony LaRocco. But so you got to figure. I'm not looking at second rounders as a salary dump unless you're talking about such an undesirable salary dump. They don't care. Andrew Ladd is the one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
He had to give up a second round pick, and usually it's not the year of the player of the draft. So I don't think he's going to use any of these as a second round pick. But what realistically do you think are Islanders trade targets? And obviously, let's go for the big fish. Can Mitch Marner be one of them?
Well, before I kind of get into that, you mentioned second round picks, and that's funny you did that, because when they moved Andrew Ladd, they needed to move 2 seconds and a conditional third. When they moved Josh Bailey, they moved a 2026 second round pick, Mark. So second round picks tend to be very useful. That's why I think while they could use some of these picks to target a player, like you said, a la Mitch Marner or someone else, I do also wonder if he is looking to maybe attach one of these second round picks to move a contract like Anders Lee or JG Pajot, which Pajot, Mark, like you said before we went on the air, or maybe it was right when you got on. I wouldn't think Pajot would need a second to move, just because he still is a very useful third line center. And there are a lot of teams that are in the market for that type of player, but we'll see. At the very least, again, they did gain draft capital, an extra second, and he could really use that in many ways. As for your question, players. I mean, there's the thing is it's so early in the offseason, Mark. I think not every player that is going to be traded has even let it be known to the media that they're out there. So far, it's really just, unless you can think of anybody else right now, it's just Marty Necas, Nikolai Ehlers, and kind of like Mitch Marner are the names that you're hearing right now that are a good possibility to be traded. Could the Islanders have interest in either of those three players? Absolutely. Obviously, all of them are going to take a more than a second round pick to acquire. But needless to say, if you're going to go after that type of player, you want to try to accumulate as many assets as you can. So, certainly interesting move. Again, I didn't expect something like this to take place in before June. But here we are, and we'll see what his next move is. But my first gut says that he's going to try to trade a contract like Pajot or even Lee to give him more flexibility. So we'll see what happens.
It's going to be an interesting thing because, like you said, they're going to have to try to find a trade partner and see what's there. So you're not exactly ruling out the Mitch Marner thing. Is he starting to clear cap space for him?
So the thing about Mitch Marner is right now is he holds all the cards. He has that no movement clause. And I've been listening to a couple people over the past couple of days, like LeBron and Friedman, and they're not so sure if Marner is going to ultimately waive. As of right now, from what I understand, the Maple Leafs haven't had that conversation with him yet. They haven't engaged other teams in talks on him. Obviously, Mark, those things can change in a snap of a finger, but you know, with Tavares likely not being agreeable to waiving, Marner's really their only option to make significant changes. So I think they could strong arm him into waiving it, and if that's the case, I think Lou will certainly be calling. But it's in the beginning stages there with Marner. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, we are going to have to wait to see about that one. And one GM that's not going to be calling from his old location, at least he might have a new job, is Don Waddell, out as Carolina GM. He's interviewed already with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, Anthony, I can't help but think to myself, he's decided to move on from the 10 years. It's not Carolina saying, we got to get rid of him. This is Don Waddell saying, all right, it's time for me to go. It makes me kind of perplexed about it because if you're Carolina, he did an exceptional job this year. That roster was really good. Now, you can argue, I guess, Dmitry Orlov might have cost them that series against the Rangers. If there's a great video that went around Instagram about Orlov's miscues in that series. But, that team was stacked. That team was stacked to win. He was able to do it, pennies on the dollar, and not give up the farm to get all those players. But my first instinct is, which Don Waddell are they getting? Are they getting, if he goes to Columbus? This is all if. He only interviewed with them. But if he goes to Columbus, which one are they getting? Are they getting the one who was just in Carolina and built a Stanley Cup contender that didn't get there? Or are they going to get the guy that was in Atlanta who lost every single trade that he made?
Yeah, that's a good point. And I was actually going to reference the Don Waddell that, was the general manager of the Thrashers, much different from when he was the general manager of the Hurricanes. But I think a lot of that has to do with ownership, too. As we all know, Waddell didn't really have the greatest support there in Atlanta. But, this is a guy that built a pretty damn good team in, the Carolina Hurricanes. And, let's face it, the Hurricanes have never been a great matchup for the Rangers. And truthfully, if the Hurricanes were playing anybody else in the second round, other than the Rangers, they're probably still playing hockey right now. So, Waddell built a good team there. I think they're going to continue to be a good team. But I think for him, he needed a change, and we'll see if he wants to really challenge himself with an opportunity in Columbus. But I could see why Columbus would be attractive to him, Mark, because you got young talent up the wazoo there. I mean, you have Kent Johnson, you have Cole Sillinger. They have really good young players in place. Like Marchenko and Werenski is really solid on the back end. And they still have good veterans like, Line, if he could sort out his issues, and Johnny Gaudreau. So there are pieces there in Columbus that make them an attractive team to take over. So we'll see what happens there. But, I do think the timing of him leaving Carolina isn't such a coincidence, Mark. I mean, they're a team in flux right now. I mean, Marty Necas is apparently wanting out. They have important UFAs like Teuvo Teravainen, Brett Pesce, Jordan Martinook, that are all, their contracts are all up. So there are some really big decisions to make there in Carolina, and I think he kind of got out in the right time because when Dave Pagnotta was on with us, Mark, if you remember, he alluded to there's a good possibility the Hurricanes take a step back with some of the stuff they have going on right now. So, I think Waddell did a good job there, but it was just simply time for him to move on.
Although I'll give him the same critique that I'll give Kyle Dubas / Brad Tree living in Toronto, and Ken Holland / I forgot who the guy was. Peter Chiarelli, I think it was in Edmonton.
Where?
In Edmonton.
Yep.
Yeah. They never addressed the goaltending. They always went, this is a goaltender, it's good. And I get the Carolina Hurricanes had good enough goaltending, and at times the way they played, it didn't matter who their goalie was. However, they didn't have a goalie that could win them a series. They had a goalie that could lose them a series, sure. And I mean,
Yeah.
I don't mean to completely disrespect Freddie Anderson, because I thought he played very well in the playoffs. I mean, but when you're playing rotating goalies, this is why I talk about some things, Ranger fans, by the way, that I've seen the comments and I've gotten the DMs saying they should put in Jonathan Quick tonight. No, you don't. You keep your goalie in there. That's it. Because the rotating goalie system didn't work. Look back at Van Beesbrook and Richter. You need your number one, and that's been like that for the New York Rangers since Mike Keenan came in. And Anthony, that's a philosophy that I actually believe in, because after all, look at the Islanders when they had that tandem, when it was Robin Lehner and it was Thomas Greiss, and then it was Semyon Varlamov and Thomas Greiss. And Greiss went in for one game because it was a back-to-back, and Varlamov was given the rest. And Greiss just said, okay, that's fine. And even played, I believe it was the first two games against Tampa Bay, because I'm going to use that series where the Islanders bulldozed them in game one as a reference point in a little bit.
Greiss also was the one that came in and won game 7 against Philly in the bubble. Yeah.
Yeah, because Varlamov was, I believe, a little bit injured at that time.
No, I think I think it's just that the Flyers had won, I think, 2 in a row to tie the series, because I think it was 3-1. I mean, it's already so long ago now. I think it was 3-1 Islanders, and then the Flyers won 2 in a row to bring it to a game 7, and that's why they made the switch to Greiss. I don't think Varlamov was hurt.
We'll double check that one, because I could remember what the scenarios were. Yeah. Also, Anthony, quickly, we're going to touch on this one. We're going to get back into game one. You're going to smile and talk about how well the Panthers did in a minute, because you're right. They are a different beast than a hurricane. For starters, one's a geological event. The other one is an animal. But New Jersey Devils introduced Sheldon Keefe as the head coach. One of the questions I had before you left the other night, is that the right hire? Or do you like the hire?
I do like the hire, because, when Keefe took over, the Maple Leafs were younger than they are now. And he kind of, brought them a little bit to the next level. And I see similarities in New Jersey. New Jersey is a very young team that has a lot of talent. And I think, fresh eyes like Sheldon Keefe, who's a much younger coach than Lindy Ruff. I mean, I think he's going to view things through a different lens. I think the players are going to be excited to have a new voice, especially a younger voice. And I think they also realized that they had a down year, and a lot of it was on them. And I think they're going to be motivated by this to, come out and just prove people that last year was just kind of like a blip on the screen, and that they're going to be a playoff team again. So I do like the Keefe hire. Biglin wants you to shave immediately.
Both of us.
Yeah. So you know what? I like the move for New Jersey. I think he's a good fit. I think he was used as a little bit of a scapegoat in Toronto. And, I think he's going to be much better this time around in New Jersey.
Well, if he's going to be much better, the first thing he needs to do is don't ever say ever again. I'm flabbergasted still by this sentence. Well, the team they set it up for the Maple Leafs to beat themselves. That's the most moronic statement I've ever heard. A coach saying that is basically like saying, well, I got out coached. How about that? And that's where Anthony, I'm sorry, I go back to him every single time. He got out coached every single series he's ever been in. Every one of them. If you want to argue maybe last year, the one series that they won, but he's always out coached. And look, is he a good coach? Let's see if you learned anything from his time at Toronto. Maybe going to New Jersey where less eyeballs are on you, even though you're in the metropolitan area. Maybe that helps. But
my comments for whatever reason weren't working when we first basically started the stream, so I missed a lot of these. So they're just making me laugh now. We want the hot tub. You know what it is with the hot tub right now, fellas? It's really warm out, and if I go in the hot tub right now, I'm gonna be sweating. You know what? So you know what? It would be nice, but I would prefer the weather to be a few degrees cooler for that.
Well, Anthony, that's a good point. And also, I mean, you don't need the hot tub with this 85-degree weather outside right now. I'm debating what I'm going to do when the stream is over. Am I going to go to the gym, or which I have not been to? I have to get back to the gym. That's a different story. Or just hang out, but get a little bit of workout here at the apartment.
So, like I said, I missed a lot of these, so I don't want people So this is a great question. I had said that I thought that a Marner trade could look like what the Adam Larson for Taylor Hall trade looked like a couple of years ago. I think if he is dealt, it could be I'm not guaranteeing it, but it could be a scenario where it's a 1-for-1. So in that case, I would say Ryan Pulock, maybe plus a first-round pick, because I don't think the Leafs are getting a player like, and I said this before, I don't think the Leafs are getting a player like Noah Dobson in exchange for Marner, just because of how much he makes, how much he's going to make on his next deal, and how Dobson is cost controlled at such a good number for one more year. I don't see that would be the case. So my guess would be something around Ryan Pulock plus a first, and maybe a prospect. So that would be my guess. But the Leafs could also want a goalie like UC Saros, in which case I don't think that makes the Islanders a fit anymore, because there's no shot in hell that they would ever trade Elias Sorokin.
I gotta agree with that, but I have to tell you, if I'm Brad Treliving, the last thing I want to hear is Ryan Pulock. Sorry, no, there's no way. It's either I'm going to be giving up and let me get his number right here, a 27-year-old defenseman. Sorry, a forward. I mean, I'm giving him up. I'm getting back Noah Dobson. I don't care. I cannot go back to my fan base with Ryan Pulock, who has never produced the offensive numbers that Noah Dobson has ever done. And I mean, and not to say Ryan Pulock's a bad defenseman. I just don't think that's a match. I go back to Toronto, I'm going to get killed, like at the press conference.
Yeah, you know what, Mark? Toronto doesn't need an offensive defenseman. Toronto's issue for a long time has been they're not hard enough to play against. They don't have those minute eating defensemen who are really, really solid in their own end. And Ryan Pulock is a legitimate top pairing defenseman. Like I said, he maybe took a little bit of a step back from the Trotz years there, but he's still a very good defenseman that he improves the Maple Leafs a lot defensively. Because Mark, who's the Maple Leafs' best shutdown defenseman? Morgan Riley? I mean, Morgan Riley's a turnstile in his own end on some nights. So Liljegren's good, but he's not. I wouldn't say Liljegren is a shutdown defenseman either. Joel Edmondson. So you see what I'm getting at? You could kind of knock Ryan Pulock, Mark, but Ryan Pulock would be their best defensive defenseman on that roster if he was acquired. So
Anthony, do not get me wrong about my feelings on Ryan Pulock. I think he's a great defenseman. I just, you can't have him as the centerpiece of a Mitch Marner trade if you're Brad Treliving. He can't be the centerpiece of the trade. You need more out of that. The only way that trade would actually work, Mitch Marner does not sign the extension with the New York Islanders, and then I could see that happening. If it's an extension, then there's got to be more in there. This is a yes and trade, as I like to say. If you stop and go, oh, well, who are you going to get for him? Well, you're going to give up this. Yes. And keep going, because Mitch Marner, we could talk about all of his problems, but he's a premier player in the NHL right now.
What does that mean?
I have no idea. It's Prince Spaghetti Night?
I don't know. I clarify.
All right.
I mean, I love spaghetti. I mean, who doesn't? But
especially all of us of Italian descent. Anthony, let's go over to game 2 tonight. The New York Rangers have not. Only people born in the 80s will get that joke.
I was born in the 80s. I was born in 85, but I'll admit that's still over my head.
And I was born in 78, so I'm not getting that one, Prince Spaghetti Night, at the moment. Anyway, for the Ranger fans, some of them calm down a little bit. Rangers were unbeaten in game 2 after a game 1 loss. The last time they lost game 2 after losing game 1 at home was 1996 against the Montreal Canadiens. That was the Vincent Damphousse show in the first 2 games. But Anthony, the storylines of the first game. Yeah, the Rangers offense absolutely smothered by the Panthers, but the Rangers still had more odd man rushes, and they even hit the post a couple times, and they were technically 1 goal away until, of course, the backbreaking goal scored by, of all people, Alexei Lafreniere. Maybe the Rangers cash in on a power play, and then they don't have to. You don't have to worry about having your forward go that extra mile. Anthony, why should Ranger fans be worried tonight?
I mean, I don't know if they should be worried, but the one thing I'll say is that the Florida Panthers are different, as you referenced before, Mark, what I had said. They're a different beast than both, obviously, the Washington Capitals. I mean, they were, you know what, I'm not going to insult anybody. They're the Washington Capitals. The Carolina Hurricanes, very, very good hockey team. But like I said, they just don't match up well against the Rangers. The Panthers are a very, very good hockey team. They're similar to the Hurricanes in the fact that they are a good defensive team, but they're a good defensive team in a different way. The Hurricanes are more suffocating, kind of like all over you, hounding the puck. The Panthers just clog up the neutral zone so well, and they transition the puck, I would say, even better than Carolina out of their own end. A guy like Gustav, you saw it, Mark, on the first goal. Gustav Forsling made a great play in his own zone, made the pass out, and then Matt Tkachuk scored. So I think the reason why the Rangers struggled so much was that Florida is just such a stout defensive team, and they also have a little more offensive firepower than the Hurricanes do or have. And really, the biggest difference is, Mark, is that Sergei Bobrovsky is the best goaltender that the Rangers have seen in the playoffs, even going back to last year when they played the Devils. But he's certainly better, and no knock on Charlie Lindgren and Freddie Anderson, but Bob is night and day better than both of those goalies. And I think that's going to be a huge difference too, is that they're facing a goalie that can rival Igor on the other end. So they're just a complete hockey team. I mean, they made it to the conference finals last year. They lost, and they always say you have to learn how to lose before you can win. And I think this year, this Panthers team is just a more complete team than they were last year. And the Rangers are in for it this series. It's gonna be a battle. I think we all said it on our last show. It was gonna go 7 games, no matter which team wins. But I think for the Rangers right now, and this is obvious, goes without saying, but it's really, really crucial that they win this game tonight, because if they lose 2-0, you're talking about you essentially have to beat the Panthers in the next 4 out of the next 5 games, and I would I have a hard time seeing that the Rangers would be able to beat a team as good as the Panthers in 4 out of 5 to move on. So I think the Rangers absolutely needs to win this game tonight. Marc, it's a cliche, but what do they say? You're not in trouble until you lose a game at home in the playoffs, and the Rangers already have. So if they lose another one and go back to Florida 2-0, while it's certainly not impossible, it wouldn't be over. It would just be extremely hard for the Rangers to come back and win the series if they lose tonight.
Yeah, Florida right now, they need to win. Well, Florida doesn't need to win tonight.
I kind of agree with this. To an extent.
Firestorm, the hard part is you first.
Especially if it's the Panthers. Especially if it's the Panthers that win tonight. Then yeah.
I think the scary part, Anthony, is like the Panthers just are that good. And I think the Rangers were a little bit rusty. I think they made a couple of indecisions that really cost things. Look, here's my contention. If you listen to a lot of Ranger fans, or even if you listen to Marc Messier the other night screaming, "Oh, they're gonna put in Rampy." Yeah, all right. You know what? Rampy, I think, would make a difference on the bench energy-wise. On the ice, I think there's some difference he'll make. I could already hear my fiance screaming at the screen right now because I think the Rangers need to beat them with skill. That being said, the Panthers kind of were stifled by the Rangers too. That goal by Tkachuk, which is really the only goal of the game, let's be honest. Igor would probably want it back. Is it a good goal? Not particularly. Is it a bad goal? Not particularly. But he was kind of handcuffed, missed it a little bit. I think Igor Shesterkin makes that save 9 times out of 10. Now, other than that, the Barkov backhander in the second period, and then the Panthers, they got pressure. They cycled well. Their offensive zone time was incredible, but the Rangers held firm. Now, is that the Panthers not fully getting their game going? Possibly. I mean, maybe the Rangers also defended them well. We're going to know, I think, a better picture of this series tonight. And if it's close, I think that favors the Panthers. So the Rangers need to come out, get the first goal. Usually I've kind of been downplaying the first goal, but I was about to say underrating. That's the wrong word. But I don't think it's necessarily as important for the Panthers to score first. The Rangers have to. The Rangers got to get that crowd into it. That crowd was dead in game one, absolutely dead, and they couldn't get themselves going. Now, the joke, Anthony, you hear it sometimes with everybody that's talking about the Panthers. Well, how are the Panthers going to win when they have no home ice advantage? They're going to have home ice advantage still because, sure, there's going to be a lot of Ranger fans in that building, but there is going to be the Panthers with the last change. And Paul Maurice, great job in game one. He just rolled his 4 lines. Peter Laviolette, first time I've ever seen him line juggle. Anthony, they got to roll. They got to roll with their lines. They got to go with their lines and stick with them.
So the one thing I'll say that I'll kind of disagree with you on to an extent is you said the Rangers didn't really give the Panthers much, and while that may be true in some instance, what you're failing to kind of mention is that despite that, the Panthers had much more possession time in the offensive zone, and when you don't have the puck, chances are you're not going to win the game. So yeah, maybe the Rangers didn't give the Panthers a whole bunch of grade A looks, but the Panthers controlled the game and played a lot of it in the Rangers' end, and that's taxing on the defense. And also,
and you saw it
when you maintain the puck, chances are you're going to win the game. So yeah, I mean, yes, the Rangers didn't bleed chances, but the Panthers controlled the vast majority of that game. I mean, the Rangers only had 12 shots going into the third period. I mean, that's not
12 to 7, 17 to 12, or sorry, 18 to 12 was the shot differential.
That's not acceptable going into the third period, especially for a team that's gifted as the Rangers offensively. So, yeah, I think the Rangers are going to have to really try to flex their offensive muscle on Florida tonight and get the first goal. Because you saw it when the Panthers get a lead, especially a 2-goal lead. They're really hard to come back against. And then you have, Barkov. Barkov is a monster. I mean, he's not only is he so good offensively and silky smooth. He's really, really good defensively. He's in the right spot. He always has a stick in the right position. He's a big body. He shields well when he has the puck. He kind of, Matt Tkachuk is maybe their most, gifted player offensively, but Barkov is probably the most important forward to that team, and he played a great game.
Oh yeah, and by the way, not to poo-poo at all what the Panthers did. The Panthers basically went up 1-0 and then just ran their forecheck, kept the Rangers in their own end. The Rangers, and by the way, I'm going to speak with half the people in the chat. I haven't looked at any of the comments. I know most of you are saying this. You got to break up Miller and Trouba. They cannot be together. They can absolutely not be together. It is not the right move. Go back to Schneider and Miller. But I mean, I do think, Anthony, we're singing a bit of a different tale if I always called him Matthew Schneider, Braden Schneider, scores on that breakaway in the first period, or Will Cooley scores on the breakaway in the second period. The Rangers did have odd man rushes, and look, you said it best just now. Barkov is a monster. The Rangers had a 3-on-2 rush in the second period. Barkov just comes back, tips the puck into the corner, and then just outworks Panarin and gets the puck back. And the next thing you know, it's back out of the zone. They were on a 3-on-2 rush. So
yeah.
I think the Rangers have to be wary about that. And they got to come out. They got to get the first goal. And look, Bobrovsky has had a tendency to add good Bobrovsky followed by bad Bobrovsky. I think he's going to be super focused in this series, knowing full well, he's the second best goalie in this series to Shesterkin. I do have to say, Anthony, there's better out of Igor Shesterkin coming, and there's also better out of the New York Rangers forward group. They're not going to look this bad. During the regular season, they were doing what Florida did to Florida the last time they met. This will be a better game. But Anthony, before we start taking any questions and comments, let's go over one more game. Connor McDavid, of course, wins game 1 in double overtime for the Edmonton Oilers over the Dallas Stars. Edmonton leads that series 1-0. Dallas loses their third game 1 of the playoffs. Unbelievable. Speaking about a team that went down 0-2 to, of all teams, the Stanley Cup champions and was able to come back in the series. It's not something I would recommend doing. Anthony, your thoughts on that game?
I was actually kind of surprised that the Oilers took a 2-0 lead. That surprised me a little bit. But overall, I can't say, even though Edmonton won the game last night, doesn't really still change my opinion on who wins the series. I still think Dallas wins, but look, this was a big game for Edmonton. They took a game in Dallas, so now they essentially kind of took home ice away. Even if they lose game 2, they're going back home all knotted up. So that's a huge plus for them. And they did cough up a 2-0 lead, but you knew Dallas was going to come hard. They never gave up. Jake Ottinger made a really, really fabulous save on McDavid to kind of keep him in the game. So I think Dallas is going to bounce back and take game 2, but this was a huge step for Edmonton to win a game 1 in Dallas. Now they got to keep it going, and I got to give credit to Stuart Skinner. Stuart Skinner had a really good game last night. In the first period, he made 2 good stops. Dodonov had a breakaway, which he made the stop on, and then Jamie Benn followed up with a rebound, and he stopped that too. If one of those go in, maybe it changes the direction that the game ultimately went in. So, I thought it was a well played game by both teams. Had a lot of action, had a lot of stuff to it that you want to see in a playoff game. And Edmonton came out the winner on, the best player in the league, making the Stars pay a price in overtime. I thought Dallas was a little whack on that. I mean, you can't leave McDavid in front of the net like that. He's going to hurt you. But double OT, as games get longer, players get more, tired and fatigue sets in. And sometimes you're not, at your best and you make a mental mistake. And I think that's what happened there. But good game. Overall, though, I still see the series going in the direction that I said, which is Dallas winning. But that's just my opinion.
I don't want to just say that this was a team that was still playing versus a team that was resting, because I think that kind of discredits the Stars a little bit in this, because the Stars haven't played since Friday night when they That's when they beat the Colorado Avalanche in overtime. But Edmonton looked like they were the better team last night for a lot of that game. I mean, after all, second at they were outshot 7-3 in the first period, but 26 shots for Edmonton in the final two periods. Draisaitl, of course, cashing in. Hyman cashing in. And then, obviously, Tyler Seguin gets his two for Dallas, sends him into overtime. Dallas had that chance. They had a power play in overtime, but they did hit the post. They could have been right there to get there. And by the way, it was a double minor on McDavid when they had that power play. They could have by half an inch. They could add a 1-0 lead. But you just got to say, look, it happens, and then move on. And Anthony, I'm gonna give one more comparison for you get all the Ranger fans that are saying the 94 comparison of, just like 94. Well, 94, the Rangers lost game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And by the way, the last time they faced the Panthers, they lost game 1 by what score? 3-0. So let's see.
I gotta hop off. I brought my dogs to the groomer before, and they're both done. So I gotta go pick them up now. So
all right, sounds good, Anthony. I will take some comments and talk to you guys right now. Thanks for joining me today.
All right, take it easy, guys, and hopefully is a good game tonight. And I leave you in the hands of Marc Williams. Hopefully he doesn't mess up too much or take his shirt off spontaneously. So that's what happens.
Well, fortunately, Anthony, by the way, I won the beard poll. Everybody's saying by 56% they like my beard better right now. So I'm you know what? It's just, this is new. That's the only difference. He's the resident beard. When are you going to see Anthony clean shaven? So
yeah,
all right.
You won't. My wife won't like it too much, and nor would I.
Really?
So yeah,
All
quick
right.
fact: before I left a couple of years ago, it was like 2019. I worked for UPS briefly. And, at the time, they finally kind of got rid of the old antiquated Lou rule, but they didn't allow facial hair. You can only have a mustache. So I had to shave all this, and I just had a stash. And needless to say, I hated it. I did not like being cleanly shaven. So it's a little antidote there.
Well, you know what, Anthony? I guess they went for 70s porn rules back in those days, but it all works. Al's saying right here, Marc looks distinguished with that beard and too neat and too clean cut. Well, Anthony, I would love to be like Anthony's. I'd love to be as clean cut as him, but everybody tells me you can't shave a playoff beard. So we'll see about that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do this again, but Anthony, man, this is so itchy.
Yeah.
I'm still in the itchy phase.
Lou would be pissed at you because you had beard. I mean, I always had mine, so he would certainly hate yours.
And I certainly don't have the hot tub, Anthony. So that's another disadvantage that I have.
No, you don't. But you could always buy one, Marc.
I can. I'll wait for the next place that maybe.
Guys, you just gotta wait. It's summertime, so you guys all talk about hot tub. I could throw the pool at you too. Maybe on free agency day, I'll take a quick swan dive off the diving board.
Oh, nice. And we do remember that day where you did the cannonball back when it was all things Rangers. So that was nice.
Yeah.
All right, Anthony, take it easy.
Right, take it easy.
And guys, you heard it right here from the beautiful Maria Cosenza, the future Maria Williams, that she's very much in favor of Matt Rampy playing in game 2. I'm not against it. I just think they're going to need the skill. I don't think Ryan Lomberg is exactly scared of Matt Rampy. But, the one thing my wife to be brings up, and I got to agree with her on it, is that Rampy kind of brings this attitude on the bench of, and Phil talks about this all over Twitter, that, well, a cannonball every time a free agent, he might be in and out of the pool all the time. But the Rangers do kind of play with a little bit of chest bump up. And as she said to me, Rampy just on the bench just kind of looks like he's so good natured that could be infectious to the team. Now, Look, I think you're going to take away a skilled guy like Capo Caco. I know everybody wants him scratched right now, or Jack Roslovic. I don't know. I don't know if you scratch those guys. I think you have to run with them. I think what you need is you need the Rangers power play to start cashing in. I think that's what you need. Frankie B is saying both the Rangers and the Stars will win game 2. David is saying Oilers, sometimes it's better to be lucky. Those first 2 goals were but Skinner played a lot better than he thought. Yeah, Skinner, look, I'll give it to him, but over a 7-game series, the better goalie is in the Dallas end. And I did pick Dallas in 5 because I still don't think it's going to be that close of a series. But this is what happens when Leon Draisaitl shows up. Zach Hyman shows up. You're talking about all these guys that are their stars, and they're their stars for a reason. Zach Hyman right now, by the way, 12 goals, 7 shy of the NHL record. Put it in the comments if you know the 2 players that are tied for the NHL playoff record with 19 goals. All right. And yes, David's right. It's right about this one. They hit 2 posts last night. And let's see what else we got right going along here. Trim along the jawline shape below. But you know what? I got like a little bit of like a two-faced thing going on right here. I got all brown hair over here. This is all white hair, not even gray hair. I actually thought I wasn't growing any hair over here until I felt it. It's kind of weird. But as far as Storm's saying, Rampe brings the energy. The boys look unintimidated, whether he's there, whenever he's there. Yes. I think it's VZ that needs to be scratched. I think if you're not gonna, yeah. I think if you're gonna do that, then I would say moving. See, the thing is, I would want to move Wenberg down, try to get 4 solid lines like that. But look, Barclay Goodrow's played well at center too, so we'll see about that. But the 7 minutes of Rampe is more impactful than the 11 minutes of Filipino. We just get taller and our chests get bigger when Rampe plays. Yes. And as Granny's saying right here, he has so much fun and energy that it has to be contagious. The only thing I worry about also is in this, well, you know what? I don't worry about it that much. If the refs call an extra penalty on Rampe because they think that he's going to be a problem, then, the Rangers are just going to kill it off. Florida did not look good with their power play, although there was a couple times where they almost had Carter Verhaeghe breaking backdoor. Watch out for that. And it looks like Filipino at right wing and Roslovic at right wing 3. I'm okay with that. Yeah. Mike is saying I have Rangers and Stars for the Cup. I sure hope so. Well, yeah, I would agree with that. I picked the Dallas Stars to win the Stanley Cup at the start of the season. Look, I also think that Pete DeBoer gets to a certain level and he just gets outcoached by somebody that's a better coach, whether it's Mike Sullivan, whether it's Daryl Sutter, whether it's a couple different guys. I mean, Dom Ducharme beat him in a playoff series, which should never happen. Granted, Carey Price had something to do with that. And so did Marc-Andre Fleury, who did not have a good conference finals that year. Yes, if nothing else, the crowd gets into it when he's there. Actually, Firestorm? No, not yet. I'll tell the 2 guys tied with 19 goals in the playoffs. Keep guessing on that one, guys. By the way, the third place guy, Joe Sakic. If you haven't watched Saving Sakic, you can watch that on ESPN Plus, I believe it is. And also you could just watch our interview with Neil Smith. We have a great short where that applies. And what Evan's saying right here, the problem is that VZ kills penalties. That makes Kakko the odd man out. You're right about that one. And look, I still think, but they could use Kakko on the PK. They've done that before. That's not a problem. And David's saying in my facial hair, there's a lot of patchy gray. I had a blonde hair mixed with black, and all the blonde turned gray. It's called I'm English and Swedish. Yeah, Irish, English, German, Czech, Italian, Welsh. So I got a lot. Fortunately, my grandmother, She raised us to be Italian. Here we go. Reggie Leach and Yari Curry are the two that are combined. Reggie Leach, by the way, with the Philadelphia Flyers, the only non-goaltender to win the Conn Smythe and not the Stanley Cup. So, what adjustments do I think Lavi makes tonight? East to West won't work against the Cats. No, I think you're probably gonna see a little bit more dump and change. That wait, State of Survival. I think you got that one wrong there. Let me try to see if I can correct that. I gotta get Rosetta Stone and learn a little bit more Italian. We're talking about going to Italy for our honeymoon. And I, for one, would like to be able to speak a little bit more of the Romance language. But I would say a little bit more dump and chase. I think the Rangers have to be more aggressive going to the net and taking penalties. Here's one thing about it. The Florida Panthers were incredibly aggressive against the New York Rangers. They were not taking penalties. So, thank you, 399. From Rosetta Stone. Well, my brother right now is learning Japanese. I don't know if I just burped in the middle of that sentence. Sorry, guys, if I did. But without Vizi, we have 3 penalty killers, 3 lines penalty kills. Yeah. And look, I like what Jimmy Vizi's brought, but he just hasn't been there. I do think they do need to not worry about skating into the zone. They have to dump it in a little bit more. Attack Florida's defense. We'll see about that. Now, by the way, I thought this would be no sono Paolo Italiano. Not as a tanto bene, it would be tutto bene. So it would be I don't well sono would be I am. So it's guys, it's or just Parlo. Actually, it would be Parlo Italiano. I think it might be me Parlo, but well, Parlo would be I anyway. So like I said, I haven't focused on speaking Italian since the 8th grade. So, or sorry, 10th grade. So I got about, Jesus, I have 30 years of trying to conjure up that memories. Kako could kill penalties, as Nick said, as Josh is saying right here. Kako divides Ranger fans more than any other player because he flashes his skill and other times he looks lost. Because he's got to be, look, first things first, he's got to be a defense player first. Your role isn't to be this franchise-changing offensive player. It's just not going to happen. So, especially not right now. Can he come in, pop 2 goals in the net? Of course. He's got that talent. Don't expect it. I think that's problem. The problem is I think Ranger fans still expect him to be that number 2 overall pick. Stop focusing on that. You don't need to worry about that. Luke is saying, I don't mind Remy being thrown in. He is a good, heavy forechecker. I don't know if Kako is the right move over VZ. We'll see. No, again, I'd still go with Kako over VZ. Because also, Kako's a big body. You're going to need big bodies in the playoffs. Non Paolo Italiano. Okay, got it. And yes, we've said many times, David Quinn ruined Kako. Kako doesn't seem to have that killer mindset. And what are the Rangers going to do with Kako? That's a great question, and that'll be one for the offseason. Not right now. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not like, say, when Gerard Gallant benched him in the Eastern Conference Finals and then gave just trying to win a game. Peter Laviolette will tell you exactly why that he went with Kako out. And he's probably talking to Kako about it right now. So that's for sure. We got 98 of you watching right now, 47 of you on X and 49 on YouTube. So make sure you're spamming those like buttons, everybody, either on X or anything else. I don't have the numbers for what Instagram followers we have right now, but certainly got plenty of you there. That's going all right. So let's get a couple more comments. I'm gonna go about, we'll say 10 more minutes, guys. So we are in cup mode. Players still have to earn contracts. Yes, they do. But also keep in mind, Brendan Ottman's going to be here next year. I don't see any way Brendan Ottman is in a New York Ranger next year. Whose spot is he going to take? Alexei Lafreniere answered, it's not going to be his. Back to this one. State of survival. People want Kakko out. My question is, how come the Rangers aren't giving him the same amount of slack they gave Laff? Well, 2 reasons. Well, first, the Rangers are actually, the staff, the executives, they're high on Kakko still. Size takes time. I've said this over numerous times. And but the thing is, you're kind of not seeing much out of him in other areas. Look, the guy's a good defensive player. That's what he is right now. He could have been. Maybe he was a good offensive player if David Quinn didn't step in, but then he focused on his defense, and he has not been the same goal scorer since. And as far as Ranger fans should be concerned, it's I don't think he should be an outright bust. People keep on saying that, but he's certainly not what they thought. But the other thing is, wait, Coilers. Hold on, Patrick. I'll get to that one in a second. I mean, Kirby Dach isn't exactly lighting up and everything when he's on the IR all the time. Josh is saying that line with Kakko, Wenberg, and Cooley forechecks hard. The problem is we never see anything from it. Yeah. Like, they forecheck hard, they play hard. They actually have the number 1 expected goals against in the NHL right now. However, nothing coming out of it. They got 2 goals. Kakko's got a goal and an assist in the playoffs. It's not going to be good. David said Gallant really didn't help Kakko either. He certainly isn't helping himself. No. And I think it's also because Kakko's confidence is shot. 399 saying, wow, please put the puck in the other end tonight. Look, again, he was trying to make a play, trying to deflect the puck. It started with Igor being a little bit of a problem right there. I know people don't want to hear it, but it is true. But okay. You ever see the movie The Replacements? Don't pass the stone hands. I used to say, no. Pass it to Dry Spell, Dryden Hunt, and our choice, our coach's choice over Kakko. Yeah, well, that was also pretty bad. But by the way, the movie was Necessary Roughness, because the one you're talking about, Don't Pass the Stone Hands, is Robert Loggia that says it. And if you don't remember the Family Guy sketch with him, Robert Loggia. For Robert Loggia. Oh my God, it's Robert Loggia. And I forgot who Stonehands was. Quarterback was Scott Bakula. Sinbad was in it. Catherine Ireland was the kicker. But Patrick saying, Marky block people for saying the word Coilers. If not, you were no better than the Oilers talkers. I guess I might have said it a little bit quick tonight. Maybe I said that. Oh, wait, we just found out somebody else passed. I guess Morgan Spurlock died today. Documentary guy. I'll look that up in a second. Am I going to be at Croakers tonight? Yes, I'm working at 7:00. Boss Croakers. We do not have any wing specials tonight. I will be making some ads for those soon enough. We're known for our wings. Come on down. And we're also known right now for the bartender who has been kind of stressed out dealing with BS as of late. All right. Cooley goes to the 4th line, and Ottman takes L3. I don't know what ceiling Cooley is, so. I may be unclear with my wording. I think VZ should be the one sitting, not Kakko. Yeah, but I'm in agreement. I think it should be VZ over Kakko. So, Dylan, look, he's a bust, but again, I think in the aspect of second overall, sure, he's a bust. I don't think. I think everybody imagines him being Vitaly Kravtsov. Vitaly Kravtsov's a bust. Vitaly Kravtsov has had no impact on the New York Rangers whatsoever. Kaapo Kakko's at least had an impact, and they won some games. You're really having fun with the Coilers, aren't you, Patrick? The Coilers, the only team that signs players based on their pooping skills. All right. Rich is saying I might dress Wheeler to stand in front of their net where most goals are scored. Problem is Wheeler can't move at all anymore. So I think Wheeler might end up playing in the series in a weird fashion. I just don't know. People forget Kako was the consensus number 2 over Hughes. Rangers kind of had to take him at that position. Otherwise, they would trade out of the spot and acquire more picks, but they weren't going to do that. And yeah, he put up so many highlights. They were not going to draft the center. Gotta wonder if Kirby Dach is a more healthy player if he was a New York Ranger instead, but that's a different story right now. Because Kirby Dach can never stay healthy. That's just what it comes down to. And look, there are guys behind Kako that they were not taking it to. Hershey Bears destroyed Hartford. Patrick saying, yo, on a serious note, you cannot blame Lafreniere for that decision. Only not getting time in there. It was a tough one. Yeah. Josh is saying the thumbnail is hilarious. It did seem that way. Yeah, I kind of went with the more cartoony look. These cartoony AI pictures I've been able to get, even though I had to combine the two of them together, they really are working pretty well right now. Going back to Patrick again, anyone who has played defense or near their own net knows that if you get there in time, you make that play. If you don't, it's an own goal. Yeah, and I think he's pressing. He's pressing on that. That's the same thing. Stonehands was Dwayne Davis, who also played Mac in the program. Kill everybody. Yes. That's, I thought he was in that movie. And yeah, he was great in the program. Dabney Coleman died the other day. Yes. Let me check to see if it's Morgan Spurlock that died because, he ate fast food for a month. Yeah, he died. 53 years old. And this is the reason why my fiance had me go get a physical. Fortunately, everything kind of all looking good. By the way, Dwayne Davis, also one of the funniest parts from the movie Summer School with Mark Harmon, where he's the guy that shows up on the first day, comes back on the last day, aces the test, and leaves. He also directed the Simpsons documentary. There was a documentary he did for the Simpsons too. The thing is, I think Kako could earn more money both on the open market and whatever. So all right, this is a great example. Nolan Patrick is a bust. Kako just hasn't lived up to expectations. But just I'll go really quick on this, guys, because I did say I wanted to get off soon. NHL draft 2019. Capo Kako, 2 to the New York Rangers. You look behind him, Bowen Byram, okay. Alex Turcotte still really hasn't made an impact in the NHL. Moritz Seider is the big gun, but that was a reach for Steve Yzerman to draft him there. Everybody was shocked. So not really that. The guy, look, the real question is if the Rangers were in their original slot or close to their original slot, like they moved up a little bit. They moved up a lot. Then you're probably talking about Trevor Zegras going to the Rangers, and maybe Jamie Drysdale going to them in the next year. So look, that's the only way to look at that, because I think a lot of people just want to look and say, all right, well, Kako's a bust, but what else was there? And in some ways, so is and Jack Hughes is having a little bit of trouble right now living up to his potential. Why can I not see how many likes are on this? So apparently YouTube redid all their stuff. 26 likes, everybody. Make sure you are hitting that like button. It was hidden in the chat just now. All right. Yeah, well, you guys are in 4 more minutes. We'll go 4 more minutes. In addition, Kako and Finland defeated Hughes Kako also had the game-winning goal in the World Juniors. That's what John Radigan's saying right there. But he also defeated Hughes and Team USA in the International Cup later on than in the summer. Nick type, don't throw at the stone hands. I still have to watch. Yeah, but okay. But Dave, looking at these guys, Doc, always injured. Byram, is he really that good? Turcotte, no impact in the NHL. Morris Sider, great rookie season. Since then. Cousins, good. Zegras. All right, Zegras, he was a 70-point player, but now what's he doing? He had a very bad year this year. And again, I have to question whether or not Trevor Zegras was going to help this rebuild, because it seems like right now Trevor Zegras is more involved in being a celebrity than it is being a winning hockey player. And sure, it's easy to want that when you're in Anaheim, when your team is not really that good. But no, well, granted, the other part of this is I would have wanted Zegras after the World Juniors that year. Guy looked real good. But you don't think Zegras is coachable. That's a big problem. And as Firestorm's saying right here, come to think of it, seems like the 2019 draft has a lot of chronically injured players. Yeah, there's a lot of them, including the guy number 1. Because look, as I said before, it doesn't matter if Sheldon Keefe's the coach of the Devils when they can't stay healthy. All right, guys, we're going to start playing bye-bye right now. But first, let's keep on talking. Throw a couple more comments in there about tonight. I am not going to make any guesses. I do have to point this out. In 1997, these two teams faced each other the first and only time they faced each other. And the Rangers were shut out 3-0. They were able to mirror that and shut out the Panthers 3-0 in game 2. They did the same thing to the Devils, oddly enough, when they went down 1-0 in the following series. However, look, Florida is a different beast, guys. Florida is an absolute monster. And anyone that doesn't see that, the Panthers, they are looking at it. Matt, thank you very much. Hopefully the Rangers get the win tonight for you. And hopefully you guys get to come on with Phil later on tonight. But, and as Patrick's saying right here, Ranger fans have some of the best fans and trolls. Surely a masterclass, so I always smile at Potvin sucks. Well, also the best troll back is Dennis Potvin saying, why do they keep saying Potvin's cups? But let's go Rangers, spray the cats. Oh, wow. As Tommy's saying right here, like, sub, and subscribe. By the way, Tommy, you see the picture of Coach Lange with the Rangers symbol on the back of his head. That was an interesting one. Rangers versus Oilers or Dallas is good for business. Cats had no future until recent years. I said it. Well, here's the thing about the Cats. The Florida Panthers is still a story, and they had the Cinderella run last year, and everybody's going, "Oh my goodness, this is such a Cinderella run." This ain't a Cinderella run. This is a good team. And this is a way to really cement hockey in South Florida forever, because Tampa Bay was able to do it long before then. Tampa Bay, actually, it was always pretty popular in Tampa Bay, but I do like when Sean Avery says this. Let's go Rangers. Potvin sucks. Fatso forgot to shake my hand. And by the way, Firestorm, you're right about this. It's either these two teams had, out of the 4 teams, no Stanley Cup in 25 years or never. Those are the only ones. So, I do think Rangers versus Oilers, or either way, the Oilers getting in would really help everything. This is so itchy to have this beard. But guys, everybody, we've had over 100 of you coming to watch this. Thanks very much, everybody, for today. Gonna take off, and I don't know. I'm gonna figure out what the rest of my day is gonna be now, because I got a lot, but we got a lot done today. Just us talking about this. Tune in for the next show. Hopefully it's no later than Sunday, maybe. But we will talk to you soon. Everybody, have a good night.